All I did was identify this gift. I worked. I wrote all of my visions down. I read them every morning and every night. I instilled them in my head. And every time I met somebody, they say, hey man, what you trying to do? I would tell them one of my visions. Somebody would always say to me, you know, I know a guy that's selling them things right there. You ought to talk to him. I started scratching stuff off my vision board. My vision board is so vast now, if I showed you what was on it, you wouldn't even believe it. Because I dream so big, I want so big, because the God I serve is big. He's not a small God. He's a really, really big God. He does really, really big stuff, and I expect him to do really, really big stuff for me. If he'd have done it for Oprah, if he'd have done it for the Obamas, whoever why I can't have this here? I'm gonna do better with it than all of them, to me, but why you can't have that? That's how you get what you want in life. Now, you don't have to believe me, but here's the deal. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're gonna keep getting what you've been getting. If I just told you a different way to go about it, you don't need no money. I just gave you some scriptures you could try and some principles. If somebody who had come from the bottom and got to this position I'm in told me that this is the way I would try it, if I was you, I would try that.
Are using. How do you get to that number?
Well, the whole thing about it is that your mind has the ultimate tactical advantage over you.
Yes.
It knows your insecurities, knows your fears, it knows your self-doubts, it knows all those creepy spots that we want to stay clear of. So our mind keeps us from those spots. So the whole 40% rule is I was living my whole life kind of going away from those spots that made me very uncomfortable. Because my mind was saying, you're not good here, you're not good there.
More than half the time.
More than half the time. So what happens is when you get in these situations where you need more, it's like a car. A car has a governor. So, some cars have governors on it.
Right.
Limits it, yeah.
It can go 130, but the governor's set for 92. So you're sitting there trying to race a Corvette. The Corvette flies by, but you're like, God, I wish this governor was off. Our brain has a governor also.
Yeah.
Whenever it gets to those fears, those insecurities, those issues that we haven't dealt with in life, the governor comes on and we can't go past that.
You write that motivation is crap.
It's crap.
Yes.
Right.
What do you mean?
Motivation is kindling. So basically what it is I may motivate some people today for this 4 minutes I'm on TV.
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that. Great. But let's say it's real cold out in New York City. Let's say it's 30 degrees. You go outside, you get your gloves on, you go for a 5-mile run.
You're going to forget everything you said.
Everything I said is gone. That's motivation.
So you write about how Rocky motivated you. That movie motivated you, but you had to take it that next step. So how do you do that then?
Well, the thing about it is it's about being driven almost to the point where you're obsessed. Because when you get to that point of being driven and possibly obsessed, you no longer care if it's 30 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. That wind chill hits your face, you feel it, you might go back inside, but to get more clothes on to go outside. So you have to find that passion, that purpose of your life. It's different for everybody.
Tried doing exercise, like a gym workout or jogging, and have realized that physical activity is painful. Have any of you as school or college students worked hard to get good grades and have realized that studying hard is painful? Ladies and gentlemen, pain is such an integral part of life that try as hard as we may, we just cannot escape. But we have a choice to accept the right kind of pain that initially hurts, but eventually heals, that initially is uncomfortable, but eventually unleashes our true potential, that initially we want to avoid, but eventually very happily accept. Or the wrong kind of pain, where the beginning is so much pleasure, but at the end, life is just a pity. Where in the beginning, you're so mesmerized, but at the end, just a royal mess. Where in the beginning, things are so comfortable, but at the end, endlessly complex. The pain of exercise or the pain of disease. Which one will you choose? Is exactly like a game. Why should we be discouraged when we have the support of meaningful friends and family? Why should we be discouraged when there are powers higher than us to help us? Why should we be discouraged when there's still life left? Why should we be discouraged when the final whistle has not been blown yet? The truth is that many of us blow the final whistle ourselves by giving up. But as long as there is life, nothing is impossible, and it's never too late. Next time you feel discouraged, just remember that the final whistle is not blown yet, and you can still give your best. Never give up, and you will soon reach.
It kind of reminds me of the story of the old man that was fishing in the lake. And there was an old man fishing in the lake, and he was catching big fish and little fish and big fish and little fish. And there was a little boy off of the shore watching the man fish. Every time he caught that big fish, he would throw the big fish back. Every time he caught that little fish, he put that little fish on ice in his cooler. So this man's doing this for hours. He's catching big fish and little fish and big fish and little fish. So after a few hours, the storms begin to come in. So he brings the boat back and he begins to walk home. And the little boy runs up to the man and says, "Sir, hold on. You can't go home yet. I've been watching you for hours. You were catching big fish and big fish and every time you caught that big fish, you threw that big fish. And every time you caught that little bitty fish, you put that little fish on ice in your... I don't understand why you did that." He reached into his book bag. He said, "Son, I hate the fact that every time I caught that big fish, I had to throw that big fish back. But you see, back at home, I only have a little itty bitty frying pan." And before you laugh too hard, many of us can't seize our potential because we throw back big opportunities. We throw back big doors. And we hold on to the little things, y'all. Come on, somebody. The small stuff that fits in our frying pan. The little stuff that fits in our comfort zone, the little stuff that fits in our background, the little stuff that fits in our pedigree, the little stuff that fits with our bank account, the little stuff that fits with the people that we grew up in and around. And we don't understand that there's big, mega opportunities out there that we're supposed to be taking full advantage of if we would just be willing to seize our potential and take our lives to the next level. I learned a whole lot about potential from my parents. My mom raised me and my older brother, Michael, as a single parent. She struggled every day, all the time to make ends meet. I love my mom. She was my first mentor. She was my first coach. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. She was an English teacher. If you were going to be Olivia's kid, you had to be able to talk. So from the time I was in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I got the longest parts in the Easter play. In the Christmas play, I had to play Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Isaac. All of my friends got little stuff. Jesus wept. I got 5 pages of lines I had to memorize. And it was frustrating, but my mom would sit on the 2nd, 3rd row of church and she'd say, "I can't hear you. Project more. Use your hands." My dad helped me realize my potential because my father's been in a wheelchair longer than I've been alive. And I know what it's like to go through the biggest pain of all. For my mentor, my coach, my mom, who raised me way more than a parent, a mentor, a coach, a friend, and advisor, to pass away on April 30th, 2013, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Heart failure. We were caregiving for my mom every single day. We decided to go home and change clothes, me and my older brother, Michael. And by the time we got back home and changed clothes, we got a call from the hospital, said, "You better come back." By the time we got back to the hospital, she was already gone. We didn't get a chance to say goodbye. People say that time heals. I believe that time helps, but you have to learn to live with that loss. Anybody in this room ever lost a loved one?